So since we're talking about elevator pitches, I wanted to share one definition. That's what I'll be working from today. And that's that an elevator pitch is an overview of a product, service, project, person, or other solution. And it's designed, this is the important part, it's just designed to get a conversation started. So that's something to keep in mind. And I think for the context of this training, we're all talking about the Good Health and Wellness in Indian Country project, right? And the program work that you do. So well, that's the scope, because we could have a personal elevator pitch, for myself, and we could also have it for our actual jobs. But let's keep it focused on the work we're doing for this project. So um, when I'm learning something new, I know I like to hear or see or experience what it is that I'm learning about. So I wanted to share a few different types of elevator pitches to show that there's not one right or wrong way to do it. So here's an example from Emily. She says she's as a founder and CEO of Bossed Up, I help women beat burnout and achieve sustainable success. So my question is, what does she do? If I was Emily, and that's what I said to you, we just met. If I'm Emily, what do I do? You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
It sounds like she's doing something around personal or professional development, around like maybe maintaining motivation in terms of her a woman's success. Like Glinda said, lifestyle coach. So I think that fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm. She probably is a lifestyle coach, right? Because she says what she does, I help women beat burnout and achieve sustainable success. So that's a very specific audience, right? If I don't know, Eric, if that would have interest to you, unless maybe there's a woman in your life that who could use that. But I think I think it's cool the way she talks about it, because she's very specific, right? And so you're either her client or you're not. And I think that's a part of elevator pitches is knowing who your target is, and also knowing your goals of why you're even pitching somebody.
And for me, when I read that too, it kind of left like you're wondering what do you mean by beat burnout and achieve success, and then the way she frames it around women and boss up, that there's that feminist approach to it. So for me, that's like, oh, really, that kind of triggers some other thoughts in my head. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Which is a really good elevator pitch, right? Because you lean in, you want to know more, right? Tell me more, tell me more. She's only said like a handful of words. But I bet you it took her a long time to come to like those, very few amount of words, because they each carry impact. Another elevator pitch. I founded Feed as a way to help my peers get involved in the fight to end hunger. Every product we sell has a number on it, which represents the number of meals that purchase provides to a child in need. And that's Lauren Bush Lauren. Oh, I didn't know that was her whole name. So what is in her elevator pitch? What is the impact of the work that she does?
I'm thinking she probably provides food, access to food for those who don't, or providing food to those who don't have access to food.
Yep, that's it. Definitely, it sounds like that's the impact, right? So it says that we don't know what the product it is that she sells, but so to me, the emphasis isn't necessarily on the product, on what she does, but it's more on the impact of what they do, the results. And think about that in terms, that might be something to get your mind going, is even the work that you do on this project. Maybe when you need to think about, am I pitching somebody for funding? Or am I pitching somebody to join our coalition? Am I pitching someone to, be an ally? And what is going to matter to them? So like this would, you know, as a mother, because it says that this provides meals to children in need. You know, that matters to me as a mom. You know, because that could be my kid. So just, you know, things to think about. And then here's a totally another pitch. You'll notice this one's longer, right? And so let's see. Do you know anyone who genuinely enjoys the job search? I don't, and it doesn't surprise me. It's super stressful, and worse than that, feels like you're playing a game against recruiters. That's because recruitment is a game, and I'm on a mission to help job seekers win that game every time they play. I write career advice based on hard data and insights from actual HR pros. Thanks to my help, thousands of job seekers from all over the globe find and land careers they've always dreamt about, quickly and with no fuss. So tell me, what's your dream career? So this one's longer, right? Still, I think it's still 30 seconds. But I would ask you, what does this person do?
Someone who helps someone find a job. I don't know. And I guess like in other terms, like a realtor for jobs.
Yeah. But how many of us like kind of go, ooh, recruiter, you know? But like when they lay it out this way, it's like, wow, what is the impact of the work this person does?
Well, there's like my husband. He worked at a place in Phoenix temporarily, and they were putting up signage at the Cardinal Stadium, and he got recruited from this actual organization in Phoenix, and they had hired somebody to, find a person to work for their organization. And it's a specialty kind of work. You have to have, special talents. And so I was surprised that they actually hired somebody to go out and find, a specific person for their organization. And then they ended up hiring Mike. So that's why I stayed in Phoenix.
So, okay, so real world example. So from this elevator pitch, what do you take is the impact of the work they do? Because if you read it, he tells you the impact of the work he does.
I would think that
or he or she does.
I would think that the impact is in their sentence here. Thanks to my help, thousands of job seekers from all over the globe find and land careers they've always jumped about, quickly and with no fuss. So he helps people. This thing helps people find jobs, and that's less stressful. And I guess if since you're looking for a job, I'm thinking you want to find a job like quick, because probably bills are piling up and whatnot. So this program, whatever, it helps to achieve that.
So those are great insights. And think about that for your elevator pitch. Whoever you're talking to, what are their pain points? Because if I'm in pain, right, and someone's telling me this is a solution, I'm gonna like, oh, tell me more, because I don't want to hurt anymore. I want this to go away. And so if you tailor that, I think Eric had talked about, thinking about who he's speaking to. Maybe start thinking about who you're speaking to, and that will help them lean in. So what is the attention grabber in this example?
I think one of the things that jumps out at me isn't necessarily just finding a job to get your bills paid or whatnot. This company, this person is asking, what is that job that you always want to do, your dream job? It's not just something that you're just going to be doing for the sake of just paying your bills and whatnot. He's asking like, he or she's asking, what is your dream job, and let me help you get to that point.
Yep. And what is said in this pitch that makes you want to continue the conversation with them?
April, I was going to suggest that that she's saying, I'm on your side to the people that are looking for a job. You know, I'm on your side as a prospective employee. I'm not working for the big companies. I'm on your side. I'm helping individuals. I guess that's the main message I see from the pitch.
That's really great insight. You know, now that you say that, I totally see that as well. The tone and word choices used in here, and when we're like looking for a job, that's probably one thing we feel alone, right? And that would be like one of those emotional connectors, like, oh, I have someone in my corner. I'm not alone. And
Yeah, I noticed that the person shifts from saying job to career too.
that's true too. So think about that for your pitch. You know, like there's information here, but there's like all these different layers, right? Dang, I feel like I gotta up my elevator pitch now too. And I like the also at the end, you know, because they said, right, elevator pitch is really just to start a conversation. So tell me, what's your dream career? I think most people would share that, right? With somebody. And then once you get that other person talking, then you're learning more about who they are, their needs, and more importantly, like either how you can help them, or if you're recruiting somebody to be on your committee or your coalition, be a coalition member. You know, if they talk about how, you know, how COVID's affected their family, and they just have felt they want to do something to help. You know, if that was me talking to you, you know, then perhaps you could talk about, well, you know, that's your lead in, right, to get them whatever it is that's important to them. So that conversation really helps. We have one more example. Is I'm the co-founder of the first non-toxic sexual wellness products brand in the US. My passion is to use business as a way to solve the sexual health and reproductive rights issues facing women today. And that's Mika. So in her pitch, what does she do?
So April, I'm gonna say that this is interesting because, you know, that she uses the terms, well, her business is about sexual wellness, but putting that right in the elevator speech, you know, is gonna perk people up to think about what she's talking about or what they're offering as a business. And putting the word business in there makes you feel like they're coming at these issues from a different approach.
So it's kind of like tantalizing in the beginning, but then it's like legitimate when she says she's like a business. What's kind of what? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I became interested in the sentence from the opening sentence by non-toxic sexual wellness products. That what kind of caught my attention to, and so I'm just interested in like what is that? What does she mean by non-toxic sexual wellness products? So that's kind of sparked my interest. And being that it's the first, she's saying she's the founder of the first non-toxic sexual wellness product brand. So that's pretty interesting in itself.
I
How,
have to,
okay.
oh, sorry.
Go
I
ahead,
have to
Nicole.
agree with Madison. I think that first sentence, it throws you off, that first non-toxic sexual wellness products. And it's almost like, well, what is that? Like, what do you mean? Tell me more. I want to know more. I think it's a really good, it's a catchy sentence. So, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then, just sparks your curiosity, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, now I'm thinking like, what's toxic?
The first thing I thought of was like tampons. So I'm like, but then it says sexual wellness products. So I'm like, maybe beyond, because I just think of the warning, about tampons with it being toxic. That was the first thing I thought of. But
I was going to mention that I think part of this is just because as a society, I think Americans in general and Native Americans acutely too, just the idea of sexual wellness is just not a concept that we understand. But this is something that she's bringing into the conversation: sexual health. Like, what does that mean? And how do you tie that to reproductive rights issues facing women today? So I think she's really good at tying in these notions of gender and sexuality that we are having today into something that's a business that she's working on. And again, back to like the first one, it's very feminist and it's an approach. And for me, that's really something that jumps out at me. It's like, this is a really strong feminist approach to a business, and she's not hiding behind the fear of what sexual health and all those terms are. She's just putting herself out there, and I think that's pretty awesome.
so how can that would be something to think about as we're putting our elevator pitches, to be if it fits, to be fearless. There's different ways to have people want to ask more, because I think the work that you all are doing, it is work that we should want to know more about. But I think maybe one of the barriers is understanding the work that is done by this group. So I'm hoping that this has gotten your mind thinking. Let's keep going. So with our goals of the elevator pitch, rule of thumb is usually not longer than 30 seconds. And kind of going back to Alita's question, elevator pitches were brought about just because, and again, I guess this would be dominant society thinking, right? Is that in the business sense, you're going in the elevator, which we don't have in our communities, a lot of us, some of us do though. But you're jumping in an elevator, and then the person you've always wanted to talk to, but you've never had access to, is in that same elevator. And so the thought is you have like about 30 seconds of an elevator ride before the door opens. So you have a captive audience. And that's how it came up, the 30 seconds. But we also want to make sure that it's clear and that it's memorable. And a mind shift is, I think when we talked about maybe getting maybe a little tongue-tied when we're talking to somebody, is this has helped me a lot, is to shift it, like from it being about me and like, oh my gosh, I got to tell them about this, about my company or about myself and this and this and this, but to really start thinking of them, whoever you're talking to, and what is their needs, how do they see things, what are their experience, because they're not going to know like our org charts or the jargon of the industry, and also to think about how it would add value to your collective communities. And again, we want to start a conversation. And I think even Nicole said it in one of the pitches. She was like, tell me more. I want to know more. So that elevator pitch was spot on with that, because you want people to ask you that. Tell me more, please. Some other tips would be to try to keep it simple. I mean, we saw in that example, like, was it the first one? Yeah, like that's pretty simple, right? But a lot of information in a few words. We saw others that are longer, and that, but we want to keep it simple. This is my rule of thumb. I think about if we're talking to our different tribal communities, I think about talking to, well, I guess now at my age, probably my auntie. I think about talking to my aunties back home and saying it in a way that they would understand it. And sometimes I'll even run it by even my mom. You know, I'll call her. I'm like, Mom, listen, listen. Can you listen? And then can you tell me what you get from this? And a lot of times I'm like, oh shoot, that wasn't clear at all. I need to rework it. So that also leads into practicing. You know, whether that's practicing in front, it sounds silly, but practicing in front of a mirror, or even with Zoom now, Lisa and I have done this, is like kind of scripted out, and then just you know, record yourself on Zoom. It's free, right? And then you can watch yourself and you're like, oh my goodness, like I'm not making eye contact, or you know, I'm not focusing anywhere that's distracting, or wow, I say a lot of ums, or you know, whatever that may be. I would suggest recording yourself for your pitch. And also remember that there are many people who may do what you do, but no one does it exactly the way you do it. That's your gift. And I'm always reminded that, like, there's tons of people who may train in Indian country, or who may do marketing in Indian country, or connect people in Indian country, but there's no one else who does it exactly the way April does it. And that's the same for each one of you. So remember that. And I think it helps when you begin with an attention grabber. We saw, you know, a couple of different ways, you know, with that lady with just her terms. You know, sometimes it's kind of tantalizing, or it may be something as simple as, remember the recruiter one, you know, if you're looking for jobs. And then also you want to end with some sort of call to action. You know, if you're recruiting for coalition members, you know, what would that call to action be? Or whatever your elevator pitch, you need to have some call to action. Because you kind of, it's basically you just need to guide people. Like, okay, we had this little bit of time to get to know each other, but we need to guide you. What do you want them to do? You know, do you want them to set up a meeting with you? Do you want them to come to your event? Do you want them to, whatever it is, you want to have a Zoom meeting? You want them to fund you? Also, these are some tips to I would suggest not to do in your elevator pitch. Is, I think sometimes, like, leading with the story of our organization, there's a time and a place, but remember, we're on this time crunch with an elevator pitch. So we don't want to lead with the story of our organization, and we also don't want to use industry jargon. I've seen this a lot with acronyms. Like, even if you're talking to people who you think should know what the acronym is, when I highly suggest just saying all the words, because a lot of times people don't know, and then they get caught up on whatever the acronym is, and they don't hear anything else because they're trying to figure out what does COVID stand for? I don't know, whatever it might be. Also, just because we're saying 20 to 30 seconds, that doesn't mean to speak like way faster, so you can get way more words in there, because you still want to be conversational. Also, you know, don't come unprepared. Practice and put some thought into your pitch. But also don't, the extreme, I would say, is like, if you're perfectionist tendencies like myself, sometimes I can get frozen because I'm working it, and I'm like, it's still not right. It's okay. It's living just like us, and it can adjust and change. I think a lot people will, that's where the other factors come into play, you know, like can throw some humor into it, or, you know, you could just, the eyes, you can use whatever you have non-verbally. Also, I would say maybe don't be too verbal in giving, that's probably like the acronyms again. And this is not a time to describe in detail what you're doing. You just want to give enough to have people ask more. And I would say, like, when you can feel it when people are being pushy, when someone's being pushy with me and I'm feeling it's a sales pitch or they want me to do something and it's coming like as a hard sell, like that's off-putting. So just remember, you're just trying to have a conversation. And then also, I think Eric, you talked a little bit about this, is not to have the same pitch for all your audiences, because we want to go back to what we said in the beginning, is it's about them and not you. So we need to always like adjust to whom we're speaking to. Like if this were a group of tribal youth, you know, this would be a different pitch, because if not, you'll see it in their eyes when you don't connect with them at all. I actually saw that yesterday. I have a new high school intern, and I realized that I did not adjust for the fact that I am talking to a 17-year-old who just graduated high school, and that not preparing for that and making adjustments for that became crystal clear to me. I'm like, wow, come on, April, like, you know better. And so how many times have you done that in speaking to different people? Or the flip, if I'm speaking to like an elder, you know, there's other things I need to make adjustments for as well. So let's go ahead and can get out a piece of paper, and let's begin. We're gonna think about your program or the work you're doing under this under the Good Health and Wellness in Indian Country. So that's the framework we're gonna be working on this example. And here's a beginning of a very simple skeleton. And I know you know we all want to be compelling, but we all got to start from somewhere. So let's start with this. So I help, and think about, who do you help? And we're gonna answer these other questions by doing what? Like, what do you do and how does that help them? And then this is the impact part. So that what happens and why is that important? And I think if you have your printout, this is also typed on the printout if you need, if it helps you to see it on a paper. Does anyone want to share what they have so far? And again, these are drafts. So, and the best part is, you know, we're going to add a little more to it in the next slide.
April, I just want
Yeah.
to let you know that I put the PDF into the chat. So if you scroll all the way up to the top of the chat, you should be able to see the elevator pitch worksheet, and that's what you were referring to earlier.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So on mine, I just put, I help community members by doing community activities so that community members with physical activity and, let's see, I don't know what I was thinking. Community members with physical activity and nutrition education.
Okay, and why is that important, Miss Cassandra?
So they can be more aware of their health and support them in staying healthy.
Okay, and I'm going to challenge you a little more. And why is that important? Let's go a little deeper, Cassandra.
Why is it important to the community member, or why is it important for me to help?
I would say you said it's important so that community members are aware, right, of their health. And then I think of like big picture, like why is that important? Is it because, you know, is it because of the well, the one thing I think of is either, to have quality of life, or if it's to live longer, or if it's something to reduce the number of health, how would you say it? Like if there's the largest number of diabetes in that community, so like your work is helping to reduce the number, so we live longer, do more.
So along the lines of diabetes, I would say to delay or maintain diabetes care.
So put that. And we could definitely add more details to that. And when you said you help community, is it just is it all communities, or is it like a certain community?
So we have I think we have 4 main communities, and then we have altogether probably 9 communities. So it's just whoever lives on the UNO reservation.
Maybe that would be a little bit helpful, because like community could I be a part of it? I'm here in Phoenix.
We've actually had people in different areas, mainly Colorado, that ask if they can join our walking clubs and stuff too.
Okay, so that's good to know. Well, thank you for sharing what you're working on, Cassandra. Let's go ahead and keep moving. So now, with what you've already begun, let's add a little bit more in. So it should be not exactly who are you, but it would be more about your program. So, what is your program? What does your program do, and how do you do it? What are the results of your program's work, and what makes your program unique? So obviously with answering these questions, it's going to get longer, right? And that's okay, because once you write these down, we need to edit what we're doing. Oh, yes, keep it simple. And then once you've done that, we want to add some sort of attention grabber. If you're getting stuck on any part, or you need some feedback, let's use the power of this group. Just unmute yourself, and we can work together.
April, this is Alita.
Hi.
When I'm looking at these questions, I like that you asked us what makes you unique. And I think the role of the site coordinators and good health and wellness and diabetes prevention and all of that work is hard work. It's a mystery sometimes in terms of what information you get from a health prevention person what is it that's going to really change you or make you think about your health or to be more aware? And what are we going to do personally or but also on a systems level? But I like that you asked that because, you know, health promotion, disease prevention, public health nursing, CHRs, nutrition, all of that is like not very well funded in the Indian Health Service. And they're always trying to cut that budget. And that's where they try to cut it. And it just disturbs me that, you know, we even have to fight for that. But, you know, that it seems like that's like the front line right there, that kind of work. And that to me, it makes me, that's what's unique and that's what's important about this work. Because you're on the front line, you're trying to help someone and you're trying to make a difference at the whole tribe. But it seems as though sometimes the people that feel like, I don't know, they feel like our budget has to be sliced and diced and reorganized in different ways. So, and another aspect of that is chronic disease wasn't always our main issue in our history as tribes. Chronic disease has become more of an issue in modern times. So, you know, we're stepping up to address those issues as the sub-awardees are stepping up to address those issues of what the problems are right now. So I like your questions and how it made me think. Thanks.
Well, you're welcome, Alida, and thank you for sharing, you know, your perspective, because we're all coming from different experiences and definitely different perspectives. And that's one thing, like just to share, you know, I enjoy working with Lisa because I'll share something and she'll say, well, have you thought about this or this? And she'll spotlight something that I totally don't even see anymore. And it really does deserve to be highlighted or to be given more attention. And so that's something that could definitely happen in this group. You know, I think about even just a Facebook story that I saw today, you know, from a friend who's she's Hopi and, you know, she's recovering from COVID in the hospital, and she talked about her traveling nurse, and she said how this. So I share this for the impact. What do they say? The power of one, which I think could be everybody on this call, is that her nurse, he was like, you know, you need to get out of your bed. It's going to help you with your breathing. It's going to help you with your immune system. You just, like, your goal is we've got to get you from the bed to that chair. And she was just like, I can't do it. And he kept, you know, he was firmly, as she put it, like firmly encouraging her. And he was, when he checked on her, he was just like, okay, you know, it's time. And she said that just because of his firm encouragement, you know, mainly I think just to get rid of him, she finally, you know, was like, oh my gosh, she's like, she did it. She got into the chair. She said she was totally fatigued from it. But she said once she was there, she said, I could breathe. I could actually breathe a little better. Like I felt a little better. And, you know, that she could see the view out her window better, different view from that chair. And so that's really small, right? But she's been writing about him for the past 2 days. And I think about that as the ripple effect, you know, like her positivity was palpable in her posts. And so you might not see that in the work you're doing, but you are making that ripple effect. And I think the type of work that's getting done here it's tough because at the root of it, at least from an outsider's perspective, you're this project is trying to change people's behavior, which is like the hardest thing I think is to change someone's behavior. So, you know, and I think the way that you're doing that, that would be a great way to highlight in your pitch. You know, I mean, geez, I think in a way is it like the impact, you know, why does this matter? When I was asking the woman earlier, is like you're saving lives. You're saving you're saving tribal stories. You're saving, you know, tribal knowledge, because that person is able, hopefully able to live longer and be a part of the community longer, and hopefully be in a better shape, right? That's a change. So that's me though. I would go big with it. I mean, we save lives, where, you know, whatever it might be for your pitch, because come bold with it, right? Because if you're not selling it, then like Alita was saying with funders, if they're making, you know, they're, what do they say? Got to save the limb but cut off the toes to save the person. Um, you don't want to be the toes. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. Anyone want to share what they have, what they have so far for their pitch? Or does anyone have want to ask some questions of the group to kind of clarify what they're working on?
I have mine. I don't know if it's a bit long. I put various various tribes are changing the narrative of chronic diseases in Indian country. I help good health and wellness in Indian country recipients by doing research on chronic disease prevention strategies, so that site coordinators can implement chronic disease prevention projects in their tribal communities. The Intertribal Council of Arizona Health and Human Service Department is funded by the Center of Disease Control to implement the GWIC project. ITCA HHS successfully completed the GWIC from 2014 to 2019 and was awarded again from 2019 to 2024 to continue working with tribes in Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. So I don't know if it's long.
So I'm opening it up to the group. Thank you, Madison, for sharing with us. And let's open it up for comments. Anyone have any comments for Madison with her pitch, to like either what's good, and you know what we could maybe work on?
One of the things that I struggle with this too is the acronyms: GWIC, ITCA, HXS staff. So I understand where Madison's coming from, because sometimes it's hard to say good health and wellness in Indian country when you're doing your elevator pitch, or Intertribal Council of Arizona's Health and Human Services. It's all a bit hard to kind of roll off the tongue. So sometimes I just say good health and wellness project as a quick way of kind of saying that this is what we're working on. And then for this, like ITCA, I just say the nonprofit that I work for is also a native nonprofit I work for. So I tend to move in those directions. So.
Okay. And then even just think about it. Good health and wellness in Indian country. What energy does that carry, and how are we saying it? Because I think about it almost, good health and wellness in Indian country. Like, that's hashtag goals right there. Because that's the big picture, right? That this group is really working towards. And how many times do we even think about that? Because I think about how we're always hearing about, like, yeah, we're the highest in diabetes or whatever, but this is a group where you all are working towards that goal: good health and wellness in Indian country. Like Alita was saying, that wasn't always our ways. So what if this became that is our way now, a good health and wellness in Indian country? So I like that. Other feedback? I think about like the anti-test, you know, like would Auntie understand what was said there? And it's just like deep diving a little more, I think. Like, what is like the first thing I would think of is site. When he said that, I was like site coordinator. I don't know. I don't know what site coordinator is. So like, what really is that role of the site coordinator? So, and saying it in a way that, like, you know, our parents back home or our grandparents or aunties, like they would understand. I don't know, is that a guide? Is a site coordinator a guide?
Oh no. I marked it as jargon. I didn't realize it till you pointed it out. But pretty much a site coordinator is just the individual who's working in the community to implement the GWIC project. So it doesn't have to be a guy. Most of them are women.
Yay.
But
I
yeah,
guess
no, that's grant jargon. So I guess I have to figure out a way to not use that word.
so in this group we have site coordinators, right?
Yes.
So
like,
what would be what would you call yourselves in a simpler, like keeping it simple? What is it instead of saying site coordinator?
Sometimes we refer to them as like public health champions.
Ooh. Does that, what do you all think about that? Public health champions.
I think that's more of a attention grabber rather than site coordinator.
Then you could have your belt, your championship belt as you come in. Hey, Eric can be your hype person as you come in. My little one's into WWE, so that's why I thought about it, because she did get a little belt. And my mom, when they play, my mom's her little hype person. She walks in front of her with the belt. But that would be a way to get some attention, right?
just walk around with a belt across.
Exactly. Sash belt. Eh?
I got some really good beaders in my staff, so maybe I would have them bead me a belt that says good health champion or something.
Why not? Yeah. That could be
cool.
Or could even be a raffle, or like, I don't know, in your budgets, but what if that was something, some of the giveaways or the swag, or, you know, the different incentives, something with branding that, you know, good health champion. That'd be cool.
I know for our walking club, one time we gave away some beaded sunglasses as an incentive.
Now I see why people want to join your program. Ooh. Okay. Anyone have any other feedback for Madison?
I think if you shorten the year time frame to like 5 years instead of 2014 to 2019, and then 2024, like 5 years and refunded for another 5, or 10 years of funding, or heavyweight champ, undefeated.
Yay! 5 years. 5 years as a champ. But that's a good point. I mean, because if it's your style and it's authentic to you, you could make this funny, you know, like use humor, depending on your audience. And I was hoping, would we be able to get an example? Would one of the site or one of the public health champions? Would one of the champs like to share? And we could work on that together.
Thanks for the feedback.
Thank you for starting us off, Madison. And just remember, this is the way I look at it is you have 8 other minds who can give some feedback and add some life to what you're doing. What you have is good, and we can can offer some feedback. So I know working alone, like that's the worst when you're trying to be creative. Like, oh man, okay, that's all I got and I'm stuck. If not, we can keep it moving. So going once, going twice. Okay, it's okay. One more time. So let's go back to, we'll do another example together. So this, we'll do this as a group. So let's imagine that like the health director just came in and they said, hey, I went and signed your program up to be an exhibitor at our upcoming tribal youth conference. So we need to prepare the elevator pitch when we're talking to our youth. So who would like to, we can use an example of one of your programs. Who would like to volunteer their initiative? How about you, Elizabeth? You still there, Elizabeth?
Hello.
Okay, so
Can you hear me? Okay.
we can. How about
Awesome.
can we use your program? And we as a group we can all come up together with an elevator pitch for your program, your health program.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so can you tell us? You can see the slides, right? So let's walk through it. So
Yeah,
do you
sure.
mind sharing yours, what you've been working on for that I help food by doing what, so that and why it's so important?
Yeah, so I'll I'll share what I have so far. Okay, so I help community members by doing community outreach and family strengthening events, so that families can engage in whole life wellness when children are young. And then I am the program director that manages and oversees the outreach and events in the community. Through our work, we have been able to engage in open conversations to families regarding what whole life wellness looks like.
Okay. So now let's imagine that we're gonna have a booth at the youth conference. So let's take into account of who we're talking to. So it'll be our different tribal youth. So I'm gonna guesstimate that's what, like 13, what would that be, 13 to 18 age range? And how would we tailor or change to suit that audience?
How would we tailor like what I just said?
Yeah. Elevator pitch.
Maybe well, I guess instead of like talking about like families, I would maybe tailor that to like helping children understand what, like what whole life wellness is, or maybe instead of tailoring it from like my audience of like as an adult or like a parent or caregiver, maybe explaining it in a way where it's like for youth right now, like present youth, I guess.
Yeah, like if you were talking to like one of your young nieces or nephews, 13. So what grade is that? 13? Is that 8th grade? 7th grade? Junior high? So let's say we're talking to junior high and high school youth of your community, and how would we tailor that? How would we change the pitch for them?
So I think I would go all the way to the top and start off by saying I help junior high, middle school age children or age youth by doing community outreach and awareness for whole life wellness. So I guess I would like really shorten up my sentences a little bit.
This is Eric. One of the things that jumps out at me in this and what you're talking about, which sounds amazing, because I have like questions around certain things that you're doing. But one of them, if I were a kid, like a young kid, I would probably ask the question of like, what does whole life wellness mean? Like, I don't know what that means to me. Like, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things I understand, like outreach and events, but when the whole life wellness word comes in, I'm just like, oh, what is that? I don't get it. And part of me is wondering like what is my life? How does my life differ from a whole life wellness thing? So that's one of my questions.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I'll have to think about that for a quick second, how I would break it down. I guess I kind of would break it down by saying like all aspects of our life. So not just our emotional, our physical, our spiritual. We would look at like all aspects of our lives right now. And that would kind of make up their whole life wellness.
Elizabeth, I would also, I agree with Eric. I think adding the term overall wellness, I feel like younger kids tend to better connect to that term, I guess. But that's just my take.
So
Awesome, thank you.
if you are going, like, how does your program interact with youth? Is it to offer them services, or would you want them to volunteer, or would you want them to be a part of one of your events? Or?
Yeah, so the program that I direct, it's for children 0 to 8, and it's there's a couple. Well, it's different strategies that we look at, but it's basically connecting our families to services either within the reservation or outside in the surrounding community. So that could be to like the doctor, that could be services for education, mental health, things like that. So we kind of look at all aspects of the child's life, and then we help connect the families. So it'd be a little bit harder to explain to like a teenager, but
Unless they're the parent, right?
Excuse me?
Unless they are a parent, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So do you have a pitch for teen parents then, or is it any different?
Not really. It would just be, providing them with connecting them with whatever services that they would like.
I think what Nicole and Eric said, I just think of them still being like younger and maybe the experiences, and I just think of myself because I'm a older, or I'm a mature mom. I had my kid like way later in life, and I think about what I knew when I was a teen, and if I had become a mom then, to even like, would I have even taken my kid in for services if I were a teen, versus like as a 40-something-year-old mom, like she had, I think in her first 4 weeks of life, she went to PIMC like at least 8 times. I was like, what's this? Is this normal? She's got, I didn't know there's such a thing as like the baby acne after they're born. I was like, what are all these bumps on her? So I'm just thinking about, like that part, like knowing your audience, and how about from the rest of the group? Do you have any other feedback to help Elizabeth with her pitch?
I have one more, if no one else is going to say anything. One of the things that when I think about like the work that we do, sometimes our public health champions, our GWIC champions, when they say services, in my mind,
Oh, sorry.
No, no worries. Yeah. So part of that is that when we say services, like I always wonder, like, well, is there a better way of conveying that? So like saying, rather
Mhm.
than saying services, maybe saying if you're having issues with, I don't know, your emotions, we can help you with that. Or if you're struggling with homework,
That's good.
you know, it helps make services a little bit more tangible, more like relatable, other than just services. I don't know what that is. So I don't know if there's a way to
Mhm.
by that in your elevator speech. So just a thought.
I like that. Thank you.
One of the things that kind of stood out to me, I have this grant called like Outreach for Underserved Populations, but and the word outreach kind of, I didn't really know what that word meant before this grant. So that's one of the other things. And I guess in addition to the word services, maybe look at how you can better say outreach.
Mhm.
Maybe there's another word for outreach. But yeah, because yeah, before I got that grant, I didn't really know what that word meant, or I didn't know. Well, I know what it meant, but I didn't know like the actual application of it. Like, how is it you do outreach in the community? You know,
Mhm.
so that yeah, I guess that was kind of on my mind.
So
That's good. Thank you.
it could be like connecting with you,
Mhm.
or building relationships, or you know, like, and then it's also the awareness or education along with that, right? For outreach, which is that's
Mhm.
some good feedback too. All right. Well, I think this was great. Thank you both, everyone who shared your examples with the group. I think that helped us all. Um, I think a takeaway for me is that it always goes back to words and meanings, because I can say outreach and it probably means something different to each one of us on the call, right? So being able to give examples helps. So as we are, wrapping up, I would like to ask why. So we just spent 90 minutes out of your life uh, talking about elevator pitches, and so why are elevator pitches important?
I think so that you can get your program out there, get people maybe start talking about your program and what you do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Cassandra. And what are 3 things that you think are memorable or are important in having in your elevator pitches?
For me, it's the conversation that you had about it's about them, not you. I think is something that I had struggled with sometimes. Like I want to say like everything that I'm excited about, but at the same time, I should focus it more on them.
Thank you. What else is important or memorable about elevator pitches?
I like that they should leave you wanting to ask more questions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Vanessa. And who'd like to offer another reason why elevator pitches are important?
I think it's important to build relationships with your community or your partners.
Thank you, Nicole. And to close us out, earlier when I was asking about the burning questions you may have about elevator pitches, I remember 2 people had said that they would like to know how to keep the pitches shorter. And so I would suggest using the the skeleton of the elevator pitch. Like if you're really having trouble, I'd just start with that really short one, you know, like I do, and this is, or actually, let me pull it up. The little third one where we talk about I help who by doing what, and so that why it's important. I think starting with that simple one is definitely a way to keep your pitch shorter. And then as you get more comfortable with it, you know, like adding on the meat, you know, where we talked about, you know, throwing in who are you and how do you do it and what makes you unique, what makes your program unique. And then editing, that's probably the part I would suggest is what you started now to edit it. So like, okay, you have it, edit it. And then I would practice it. I would try it out on your whoever's in your immediate space, a coworker, a family member, a friend, ITCA, you can call them, right? Maybe you guys can even have a follow-up where you talk, where you all share your pitches with each other, because this could be a lab itself and offering feedback. I think some really good things came out, you know, about site coordinator, you know, now you all are wellness, or maybe it's just wellness champions. I mean, that's even shorter, right? Wellness champions. You know, we talked about what really is outreach, you know, relationships, connecting. So all those things can help simplify your message so people can connect with it. And I thank you for your time and sharing your thoughts, and for also supporting a Wallapai woman-owned entrepreneur. So I thank you for my company, and I thank you all for the work that you do. And with that, unless anyone has one burning desire to share anything, that concludes our time together. But it won't be the last, I'm sure. So thank you.
I just want to mention something before we leave. Again, thanks to April and Lisa for providing this. It was really helpful. But for everyone else, this is the last of our chronic disease working group workshops this week. So it's good to see everybody, and we'll have the survey link and the recording and other things sent out to you guys by the end of the day. So but yeah, that's all I wanted to mention.
All right.
I just want to mention something too, like when you're creating your pitches, especially if you're making it towards your outreaching and your community members, just to remember that also that majority of people read or understand at a third grade reading level. So just try not to have too big of words, vocabulary in your pitch, because that gets them thinking of and hooked on that word, trying to figure out what does that mean? What kind of context are you using? So keep it with very simple vocabulary words where it's very understandable. I think is a good one to remember as well.
Yeah, thank you for that tip, Lisa. And with that, we'll see you all later. Have an enjoyable Tuesday. Hopefully get a taco.
Thank you, April.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.